Namaste to everybody. My greetings, heartfelt greetings for the occasion to everybody, and congratulations for something great and brilliant that we are up to today. I first realized about the role and presence of women in the informal sector more than about 50 years ago. And it's when I was the head of Women's Wing in the major textile union, Textile Labour Association in Ahmedabad. In 1972, Self-Employed Women's Association called SEWA was born in Ahmedabad. In 1972, Self-Employed Women's Association was born, let me repeat, out of organizing the informal sector women, street vendors, head loaders. The home-based workers came to me soon after that. They were women who sewed quilt covers in their homes for a piece rate. Other women stitchers from Shapur area also came to us, and again we found that they were not considered workers. But we saw them with our own eyes that they worked 8 hours a day in their home to support their families, earn income, and still remain poor because they were paid so little. So the first thing was to get them recognized as workers, and we call them home-based workers. Meanwhile, at the international level in the ICFTU, I was asked to speak, and I spoke about informal sector workers and about home-based workers, women. I got a mixed reception, no wonder. Some people were quite angry with me. They said the informal workers will destroy the gains that unions have made so far. One person said, employers take work out of the factories and give it to women at home at low rates. We should ban home-based work totally. But others were supportive and felt that trade unions should organize informal sector workers. Good. In particular, it was known that millions of women are home-based workers around the world. So the women in the ICFTU did feel that they should be organized. But there was no conclusion yet. However, a feeling in favor of organizing and protecting home-based workers was building up in the international trade union movement, that I must say. In 1985, SEWA became a member of the IUF. The General Secretary, Dan Gallin, was a real revolutionary, and he was ready to extend full support to workers wherever they were. He believed in organizing all workers. He said the IUF would support home-based workers' issues at the international level, and he urged us to bring a resolution to the ICFTU General Congress, to bring to the General Congress to begin with. We worked with him on a resolution on home-based workers, asking unions to support and organize them worldwide, and asking ILO to have the convention. I talked to friends in some of the European unions to support it, and Dan Gallin asked the German union DGB to present the resolution in the ICFTU. I was also invited to the ICFTU but could not be a delegate because at that time Siva was not a member of ICFTU. We had already left the TLA by then. However, I did speak in favor of the resolution and explained Seva's experience with home-based workers. In the ICFTU General Congress, I came to know that across the world there were others also organizing home-based workers. Of course, I already knew about Thailand and Philippines with Lucy Lazo, and I came to know Jane Tate, who was organizing in England, and remember Annie was part of Australian Union organizing home-based workers. Many embroiderers also she organized. And in Latin America, the Brazilian Union had home-based workers too. Enek, I remember, who was a Dutch woman, she brought us together in a meeting, and we all were excited to meet each other, and we all started working towards trying to get ILO to have the convention on homework, the convention. But I must say, I was a woman in trade unions who really believed in us, and I was rather and it was their influence and the urging of the supportive group of women inside the ILO, through which ILO finally decided to have a discussion on home-based workers. A discussion. It was the first time that the international labor community had even acknowledged the informal workers, and to actually have a discussion at such a high level. I was feeling very proud. It was a brief breakthrough for informal workers. I was invited to an expert group at the ILO to prepare for these ILO discussions, which was to be held in 1995 and 1996. In that group, we framed the main issues. But one issue I could not convince them was that of the self-employed. As you know, that home-based workers can be self-employed or can work for an employer or a contractor for a piece rate. The unions were not interested in self-employed, only in those who had an employer. They did not accept the term home-based workers, which included both. They insisted on the term home worker, which is only those workers who have an employer. So, the final ILO convention is on home workers only. Now, ILC. Let me tell about ILC. As I know, the International Labour Conference consists of three kinds of representatives in the conference. Representatives of unions and employers who have one vote each, and representatives of governments who have two votes, if I am right. All parties vote as a bloc. The topic of home workers was discussed in the committee with three sides. The leader of the workers group was from the Dutch trade union FNV. In order to understand properly about the workers, she sent a team from FNV, Kathleen and Annie, my dear. They sent from FNV to Seva, and we spent many days taking them to the field and meeting our workers in India. Seva was not entitled to attend the ILC as a delegate again, but ICFTU made us part of their team. They did, and we could go as observers. Some of the unions did not like it and tried to exclude us. There was still a lot of prejudice against the informal sector and therefore on us. The ICFTU representative was also very supportive to us. And who was he? He was the young Guy Ryder, who is today the Director General of the ILO. The discussions at ILC were quite dramatic and tense. The employers were totally against having a convention. During that time, worldwide, employers were turning formal workers into informal ones through multinationals. They did not want any standards of informal workers, and they tried their very best to prevent it. The governments were divided. Some did want to support the informal workers, but others wanted to side with the employer. I well remember the presence of the newly born South Africa and their representatives, supportive fully to our cause. At the end of the first discussion in 1995, the committee was to vote on whether or not to have the convention. The labor group voted yes, the employer group voted no, and finally, by a small majority, the governments voted yes. I remember the employers were very angry and they walked out from most of the discussions. But finally, the entire hall shaped the convention. As I remember, the next step was for the whole International Labour Conference to vote for the convention. The employers tried very hard to influence their governments politically, and they were successful in many countries. I was also very busy lobbying in different countries with my own team. The Convention 177 on home work passed in 1996. Hurrah! Unfortunately, it was ratified in many few countries because the employers waged a campaign in each country against the convention. And so far, we have reached. Right? Now let us look ahead. I say look ahead. What this first ever perhaps International Congress of Women Workers aims to do is to bring peace at home where we live and at home, that is our planet, and do so with honest and meaningful work. In short, well-being can only be achieved with well-paid and protected workers, home-based workers included. The means are as important as the goals, we must remember. To do that, we must change the economy more than it changes us. That is the message. We need an economy of our own making and not one where we struggle in the roles assigned to us. In short, we need an economy of nurturance, I call it. Economy of nurturance, where the full potential of our human hands, heads, and hearts is nourished at home as we work. We need an economy that recognizes women's leadership and promotes cooperation, sharing, and trust. We need an economy that is diverse, local, sustainable, often home based, and in balance with the needs of the people and their directions. Our Women's Congress will move to the change the workers world. That is the message. Thank you. To conclude, Renana, thank you and your team. I sincerely thank, and will help whatever I can. You will make the polarized industry and society transform into million blooms in each home where we work, where we exist. It is us who have found and will follow pathways from growth to nurturance of each other and of everybody, every living being on this planet, Mother Earth. As a slogan, our slogan is on organizing. We are all one. हम सब एक हैं, as we say it in Seva. May God bless us, our unity forever. My love to you all, and all our sisters and all our friends, our colleagues on this precious day. Namaste. Thank you.